Well, I'm going to try and tackle this whole issue of Israel is a terrorist state. I don't think it is. I don't feel Zionism is an apartheid concept either. I have read on this subject, and the links will be posted over here in of all the stuff I've read, or a portion of it at least. The Zionist movement actually started somewhere in the 15th century, with all the pogroms that have been going on against the Jews for forever, since the advent, since Christianity started coming into the fore. It sort of builds people up to be paranoid. We have examples of this in history for other cultures, like the Russians. Russians are paranoid, because lots of people invaded them too. Just have to look at the history. So the Jews are justifiably paranoid. The Zionist movement had its beginnings back then. And in the 18th century, they actually tried moving into Palestine and doing things like trying to recreate the homeland. Didn't work out so well. A lot of Jews just weren't into it. They were just trying to keep the heads down, live in the ghettos, and not get noticed too much until the Messiah came. A not very bright thing to do, but that's what religious faith did to them. Now, somewhere in the late 19th century, the Jews, who had been freed from a lot of oppression because of Napoleon, of all people, started saying, we need to have a nation. We're a people without a nation. And they started buying land in Palestine. Now, Palestine was not a nation. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. There was no nation state. Palestine was just what the region was called, and had been called that for a very, very long time. The land was bought and paid for. Cash went from one party to another, and the title of the land went back. Bought and paid for. This went on for 60 years before the formation of Israel. Do you get that? A lot of land was purchased from people in the Ottoman Empire, absentee Arab landlords, what have you. And the landowners didn't give a crap about the peasantry. They didn't. Why should they? Rich never cared about the poor before. Certainly it didn't matter in the late 19th century about them either. So, and there were lots of problems with the Jews buying so much land. Hell, in the 20s, there were riots by the Arabs because the Jews were buying so much land and dispossessing them. Well, they didn't have the title of the land. The Jews were better educated. The Jews understood what had to be done. They played the game and won. That's what happened. Arabs didn't educate themselves. Arabs didn't play the game. Or they played the game, but they played it very badly and lost. That's what happened. And that's what led to the formation of Israel. The better educated people won. Now, given these centuries of oppression, and when the Arabs who lived there, who were not yet Palestinians, left their homes in 1948, they were told by the surrounding Arab countries, "Don't worry, you'll be back in a few days." Wrong answer. Didn't work out that way, did it? They tried to destroy Israel right from the get-go. And they didn't succeed. Ain't that too bad? Now, the other Arab countries could have taken in the 500,000 or so Arabs, their brother Arabs, and let them live there, but no, they were treated as third-class citizens. Which wouldn't sit well with me. I don't know about you. And they started getting annoyed. Now, the obvious people to hate, who've been hated for centuries, were the Jews. It's their fault. We'll ignore the Arab people who sold the land. It's the Jews' fault that we're dispossessed. Not those who sold the land in the first place. And the PLO formed, and the this, that, and the other organization formed. And they were in Jordan. Look up Black September for Jordan. Okay? Check that reference. Wikipedia has a reference for it. Again, I'm going to put it up here. Now, Arabs were fighting Arabs. The PLO tried to take over Jordan. Well, that didn't work either. And they got pushed out to Syria. So, I mean, history is a wonderful thing if you look at it. There has never been a Palestinian state until recently. Certainly not at the time Israel was formed. Certainly not at the time of the 1967 Six-Day War. Now, I'd say the Jews are justifiably paranoid. They've been getting shit for centuries. And since the formation of their state, people have been trying to destroy them since. This whole fracas with Hezbollah this past year, I'll put it bluntly. Hezbollah played Israel like a $2 banjo. They knew exactly what would happen when they attacked Israeli soldiers. They knew it. Hell, I could have told you what would happen. And the Israelis reacted badly. But on the news, all we saw was, oh, these poor civilians over in Lebanon, the bad things that are happening to them. It's all because of Israel. What about Israel and the cartouche rockets being fired at them? How many Israelis were killed in that? How many were dispossessed in Israel? Well, we don't want to hear about those numbers. You actually have to go and look for that kind of stuff. And look at Amnesty International. I'm certain some people will say that's a Zionist propaganda too, but it's not. Anytime somebody comes up with a fact that disagrees with what you say, it's propaganda by the other side to make you look bad. Isn't it amazing how that works? So, Israel may be behaving badly. Oh, they are behaving badly. Okay? But I think they have some justification because they've been treated so badly for centuries. Two wrongs don't make a right. But hell, why haven't the poor, oppressed Palestinians and other Arabs who are treated so badly by the Israelis do what Gandhi and his crowd did? They brought the British Empire to its knees. Forced them to leave. Did they do it through force of arms? No! They did it by making the oppressor, the British Empire, look so horribly bad, they had no choice but to get out. You say, Arabs protest peacefully. Yeah, right, okay? I'm sorry, but picking up rocks and throwing it at people with guns, and you know the people with the guns don't like you, so they will shoot back, is not a peaceful protest. I've also pointing people to a guy here who claims to be Palestinian. I have never met the man, but I've read his video. I've seen his videos. He's in my subscriptions, and I'll put his name up in the comments too, or over there, wherever. Who shows a different side of what's happening in Israel and with the Palestinians. Are the Israelis angels? Hell no! Are those opposing Israel angels? Hell no! But I'm only seeing the anti-Israeli side being portrayed. I'm hearing constantly how, oh, Israel are the bad guys. They're doing horrible things to these poor Palestinians who can't do anything for themselves. Yeah, right. You know. At least when the Israelis were fighting Britain to force the formation of Israel, and that's another whole story, you know, the whole blowing up the King David Hotel, but we want to skip over the whole part about how under the British mandate, when Jews were trying to get the hell out of Eastern Europe and away from Nazi Germany, the British said, sorry, you can't come here, too many people, have an adequate day. Could have been a retaliation for that. So, but hey, you know, Jews shouldn't have been upset that they were persecuted and slaughtered like cattle. Well, not even treated as well as cattle, but I'm getting off my point and I'm starting to rant a bit. Zionism is not an apartheid thing. David Ben-Gurion, remember him? Prime Minister of Israel when it first started, before Golda Meir got it. He mentioned specifically he didn't want to be like the South Africans, which was, what? An apartheid state. And they tried to do that. There was a conference at the UN to try and resolve the issues. But the Arabs didn't even want to acknowledge Israel as a state or having a right to exist. If you can't get past that basic stumbling block, you can't do anything else. Now, in those negotiations, the Israelis weren't pure either, but if you can't get past the stumbling block of a state's right to exist, how can you go forward at all? And since the formation of Israel, the various countries have tried to move Israel out. The only place that has a peace treaty with Israel is what? Well, that's right, Egypt. Because Egypt negotiated in good faith. Israel gave back the land. And they stopped having hostilities. Other Arab countries still say Israel doesn't have a right to exist. Hell, Iran is there saying the Holocaust didn't happen. And for you Americans out there, that should really enrage you, because basically they're saying General George S. Patton, remember him, World War II, who documented all the stuff that happened. They're saying, oh, he's just a Zionist puppet. You know, I'm really getting off tangent here. Okay? Look in your history. Check it out. This is... It's not an apartheid state. Now, Israel may be doing bad things, but you can only push somebody so far before they stand up and push back. Once you get over the stumbling block of Israel's right to exist, and everybody agrees to that, and stops trying to destroy Israel, whether it's Zionist or just a Jewish state or whatever, things will get better. But blowing up buses with suicide bombers, going into crowded areas where people are just going to get a piece of pizza? Yeah, let's hear it for those wonderful innocent Muslims who just want nothing but peace and love and everything's wonderful. The nut jobs are out there. And there are nut jobs in Israel too. Yes, there are. But Israel is being painted as the bad guy too often. And the other side are just the poor people who are just innocent victims. They're not. Okay? And when all those people that got killed over in Lebanon, I like to... There's no way to prove it one way or the other whether some of those civilians were actually Hezbollah fighters or not. Of course, Hezbollah will say, none of our people got killed. We just had the human shields die. Well, we don't call them that. We had the innocent civilians died because the Israelis just attacked indiscriminately. Those cartouche rockets coming over. Well, yeah. Israel's not a terrorist state. Look at the entire history. Learn from history. People are not learning from history, hence they're repeating it again and again and again ad nauseum. So, have an adequate day.